Hey folks, Jonathan here. Alright, bought a truck. What a mess so far. So I've been wanting to build another rollback, but I want to build one the way I want to build it, with the engine I want and the way I want to do it. I'm thinking about doing a side puller behind the cab. But anyway, so here's our deal. DT466 with a, I don't know what you'd call it, 7-speed, 6+1. I don't think it's an overdrive, so it's got a granny gear and then 6 gears above that. So whatever transmission that is, that's what it's got. And I bought this at auction. The front nose is no good on it. I already knew that. I think this stuff, I don't know when or how it got beat up, but it's beat up bad. And let me see, in early 2000s, they had put about $12,000 in the engine. They actually put an engine in it, new clutch, pressure plate, top bearing, all that. And it looks like they drove it until about, well, it looks like it was picked up in 2005. It must have stayed at the shop for a long time. And they drove it until 2010, the best that I can tell. And I don't know what's happened to it. I don't know the owner. I bought it at auction, so I can't get any specific details on the truck, but so I bought it. Bought some tires also. Now, these got 22.5s on it, and I'll probably go with like a 255/70 22.5, which is a low profile, and we'll get the height of it down. We're not worried as much about the loading angle and the height as we used to be when we was hauling a lot of exotic cars, stuff like that. So 6 just like brand new tires. And these are not old tires, they're not old weather cracks. So I wanted them 4 for the back of the wrecker that I got this thing hooked to, and I wanted them 2 for the front. I've never really put tires on that truck. I've just put one here and there as it needed them, and it's going to be nice to have a good set of tires on it. And you know, we'll have rotation inspection coming back up, and the tires that's on it's just, they're right on the edge of not passing, so we don't want to try to get by with them anyway. So let me tell you about this truck. Bought it on auction, online auction. I did go look at it, but I wasn't looking really at this truck. I was looking at the truck beside it. The truck beside it brought more money than I wanted. It was a 4-door International 2002 or 3, same engine except it was an E. It was electronic, and the transmission was supposedly bad and laying beside it. But the truck was pretty rough. Actually probably rougher than this one, but this one here I had looked at, DT466, the 7-speed or 6+1, whatever you want to call it, and it just had some stuff that I did like. The long frame, it's double frame. I really didn't like the 22.5 wheels and tires. I could actually probably do something about that, but we're going to go ahead and run them anyway. And they are lug locate, not hub locate. They're lug piloted. So, but one of the reasons I didn't mind buying this truck, I've got another engine. I've actually got 2 DT466 mechanical engines that could go in this. This is a 96 model, so it's the transition year, and you could get it with electronic or mechanical. The last year that you could get a mechanical, and this one happens to be a mechanical. I wouldn't have wanted it as bad if it had been, I probably wouldn't have bought it if it had been a electronic, not this body style. But anyway, so the plan is to try to get it running. I brought it home yesterday. I looked up under, and to my surprise, there was no oil filter on it. And so that was not good. And that's when I was searching through it, and I found the paperwork about the engine, you know, because the engine had a hole in it, but it wasn't this engine, it was the previous engine. So they blowed it up, I guess. But so anyway, no oil in it, no filter. I looked at the bottom, and the drain plug was magnetically stuck to the pan beside the drain hole. How it stayed on there all the way from where I went and picked it up at, I don't know. It did. So we got it, and so I called Napa yesterday, a local store that I deal with, and I asked for some sacrificial oil. And well, actually I went over there, and they didn't know what I was talking about, of course. I said, look, I bought a truck and there was no oil in it, no oil filter on it, so it's going to be expensive to to do this test, but I need some sacrificial oil, and 7 gallons of Rotella and a filter was about almost $200. So I probably should have just took the $200 and put it in a pile in the middle of the floor and set it on fire. I mean, that's how bad it is. But then again, you don't ever know. I rolled it over first just to listen to it. I didn't hear any noises. I've got oil in it now, and I'm not an ether person, y'all know that, but I did hit it with a little ether and it did fire up. And now I'm working on getting the fuel up to it. I wanted to hear what it sounded like before I went through all this trouble. So it's got some click in that I don't know. I don't think it's not anything major in the engine, I don't think. It could be injector pump. I may have a problem with it, or it could be some valve sticking. I don't know. It's been, like I said, been a long time since it's ran. So anyway, I'm going to continue to try to get this thing primed, and hopefully we can get it running. You can hear what it sounds like. And I can't crank the truck over inside because the solenoid on the firewall's bad, so I have to short it. So as it starts, I can't even look and see if it's got oil pressure. So I need to get some help out here, I guess. But anyway, that's where we're at. Probably ought to get this front end off and out of the way because it's just tore all to pieces. But we can put a front end on it. It's not a problem. Oh, and if you're wondering why I'm going back to an older truck, I'm tired of limp modes. I'm tired of electronics. I just feel like I'm too old for that, and I'm gonna erase that out of my life. And they took the worst part of a car, the electronics, and stuck it on a diesel truck and just basically ruin it. So I'd just rather have an old truck. All right. Okay, folks, couldn't get this thing to prime. Was having a lot of issues. Put some air pressure in the tank, got fuel up to here. We got all past that. Still couldn't get any out of the injector pump. Pulled this piece off the top, and I'm not even sure what it's called. It's like a it's got a diaphragm in it and stuff, but anyway, pulled it off, and then was able to get down in there to the fuel shutoff linkage, and we got that straightened out. So we've got it running. It does have a tap. It's sound like a lifter tab. Don't sound like anything in the bottom end. But I noticed something. This is a turbo pipe, or a pipe coming from, well, okay, leaving the turbo. It's going through the intercooler and then coming up through here, and then coming in and going into the engine. But I noticed something that I didn't like. And this thing don't have a big intercooler. But anyway, so I'm going to start it up, and you'll hear the tapping. But like I said, I think it's a lifter it's tapping. Oh, I think it just needs adjusted, or this is solid, so. Okay, so you can see the hose was sucking shut. So the first thing I thought was this air cleaner clogged up. So I tried it again with the air cleaner out. Did not help because it should be crate and boost. If it's crate and boost, it's not going to suck shut. So pulled the hose off of the turbo, and it's locked up just as tight can be. Now, I don't know why. But it won't turn at all. So the turbo's definitely out on it. Still don't tell me why they drained the oil. I still have no clue on that. We got one more thing we're going to do. I think I can adjust the valves and probably get that tapping out, which that don't bother me too much. That's I mean, it probably sounds a lot worse on camera. It usually does on this camera, but probably sounds a lot worse on camera. But what we're going to do next, I went to drain the radiator yesterday when I got it in, just to check it and see how much was in it, and it sure looked like pure water coming out. So we're gonna put some antifreeze and water in this thing and run it a while without the turbo working. We're not worried about that. That's minor stuff that we can do after. We got to figure out if this engine's going to be good or not. So I did get in and put it in gear, and it did, move. Now you can see the rust on the pulleys. So this thing's been sitting for, a lot of years. So I think, from what I figured up, it's about over 10 years, closer to probably 13 years. All right, folks, after a little bit of playing here, I took a pair of pliers, or channel locks actually, and I grabbed that turbo hub right in the center, and I spun it back and forth a little bit, and we got it freed up. And it's working good now, so there's no issues with it. And so it was time to put water in it before I done anything else. And I put water in it, and I started hearing it leaking on the other side and on this side. You can see what the filter looks like. This is the water filter. So we've definitely got to get one of them. Probably going to flush it some before we put one on it. And let me see. Radiator looks like they had replaced it. Probably not that long ago. But they didn't have any antifreeze in this thing. I don't think, because I don't know if that's a freeze plug or what it is. I'm going to have to look on the other engine block, but we definitely got a hole there. I stuck a cap in it so it would quit leaking everything out, but yeah, I don't know whether, like I said, that's a freeze plug or what, but we're going to go check one of the other DT466s and see what it looks like. All right, folks, so we're still testing, working on this engine, trying to figure out whether it's worth crap or not, and I don't think it's going to be, but I don't know. It looks like there was some oil running out where that freeze plug was after I'd put water in it. So this thing might have been mixing oil into the water, which can happen. Sometimes they do that, and could be an oil cooler right here, bad. Which is not a big deal. It wouldn't be that big of an issue, but we're going to try it. Coolant filter was leaking, and like I said, a freeze plug was leaking, so I picked up a coolant filter. We spent another $70 on coolant filter and freeze plug and 2 gallons of antifreeze, which is just ludicrous really, but whatever. And so we're in the engine for 270, but we got the turbo unstuck. We know the alternator's charging. So even if this engine turned out to be bad, there's a lot of things about it that we really needed to know before we just pulled it out and put it in a pile somewhere, because I mean, you know, you need to know that it's got a good injector pump or it's got good parts on it. So, you know, it's probably worth the 270 to know that, but we're going to get some water in it and start it up and try it again. All right, folks, par for the course. I got 5 gallons in it, and what do you know, heater core's pouring. Dadgummit. If it weren't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Gloom, despair, and agony. The hoses are soft, so I should be able to pull this hose and put it on there, or maybe I'll find something to put them together with. I don't know. Anyway, she's pouring pretty good back there. Heater cores are cheap, and I'm sure I probably got one, but anyway, it don't help our testing any. So, alright, let's see what happens. We'll see if we can get something figured out on it. Alright, let me make sure it's out of gear. Now, what I want to say about this. Okay. Now, because of the situation with that freeze plug out, the water filter or the coolant filter was just rusted as can be. The water that I got out of the radiator was just a little bit at the bottom, and the oil was drained. It makes you think, and it's probably so, that it was mixing oil into the water. So we're going to see if it's building any pressure or anything like that. And start it up and run. I bypassed the heater, and let's see if it starts. Fuel. Solenoid is not working. This small one up here, so I'm going to have to replace it. But it's not very cold, but that was a cold start from yesterday. Spinning. temperature. The gauge is hooked up, so. In my opinion, a mechanical gauge on an International is the best thing you can do. I don't like their mechanical gauges or their electric gauges in the dash. They're electric gauges, what they are. So, all right, we'll let it run a while and just see what happens. All right. Well, okay. So this gives us hope that the transmission's good anyway. Kind of funny, but it's okay. Engine's no good. Well, I say that, I don't know. We could tear it down and see if, or maybe pull the pan and see if it's a sleeve leaking. Something's getting water and oil, so it's either got a cracked head. You can see it's mixing. And so there goes $200 for the oil and filter. But that's okay. So we know what's wrong now. I mean, at least the mystery's, well, part of the mystery solved. We still got a mystery of, now the temperature is up to, let me see, it's not very high. 130. So the temperature did come up. Now, I just don't know whether we should pull the pan and do a pressure test, see if the bottom, one of the sleeves are leaking, or is the head cracked. With that noise that's in the engine, which I still think is a lifter. It could be an injector knock too, but you sort of can't get these out of time though. So, but I've heard of people having issues with that. But I think what we should do is put our other 466 in, and I think that's what I'm going to do. So what we've come to on this, and I'll show you. There was a receipt in here for an engine rebuild. $13,000, including the struts, pressure plate, throttle bearing. I don't know if it was an engine rebuild or a new engine or what, or reman, or, but it was through the International dealer. And the receipt shows $13,164 and $2,000 core. Yeah, it shows every bit of it. Gaskets, thermostat. They put, of course, new oil. And they also, the mice, I think, got a hold of this thing. Yeah, the engine itself was, I don't know, 9,000? No. Yeah, the 9,500 list price was 11,000 on the engine, but put an engine, clutch, pressure plate, throttle bearing, and a power steering pump on it. And I looked at the mileage of when that was done, and it was 200, and when it was returned, or when it came in, it was at 244,000 miles. So 244,000, and we go to this, and it is at 525. So that's quite a bit of miles, and 400 or 275,000, I guess. So I mean, that's not really a lot of miles for a DT466, but it's a lot of miles for an engine that needs work. And I think the other engine I got is going to be a better candidate, I believe. And the only bad things, there's a few little bad issues that I don't like, and I don't know whether the stuff will change over or not. This is all serpentine, that one's not. Power steering pump on that one, I think it's belt drive. We're going to go down and look at it. That's what we'll do, and we'll see the differences just because of the year models. Hopefully everything else is the same. I know the engine blocks are made a little different because they updated stuff, but still should bolt to the, well, I mean, it's going to be an SE belt pattern, so it should bolt up, and maybe we can finagle and figure out what clutch we need and all that good stuff. And this other engine runs just perfect, so, and we'll probably start it up maybe on this video. All right, let me go look at it. Okay, so this is an old truck that a buddy of mine used to use years and years ago. The frame's rusted on it, and frame's no good. And I bought this truck for $600 as a running truck, and needed, let me see, I think the ignition switch was what the problem was with it. But I actually sold the bed off of it for $500, so I'm in this truck for $100, and it's got a really good running DT466 in it, and I think I may pull it off and start it here in a little bit. Let me open the hood, or try to open the hood. It's busted too. Okay, so here's what we got, and you can see it runs V-belts. Different setup. It's awful dirty, but the dirtiness of this is the chicken litter. All these litter trucks are this way, and they love the rust. And you can see it piled up back there because it's just dusty as can be. You can see the extra work he done on the air filter. I mean, it's not good on any of them to run out there in the field, but you see there's some added on. And what that's for is, I'm sure that the feathers and stuff would get in there and clog it up. So this screen wire keeps all the feathers from coming in that hole, and then the filter filters the dirt. So that's a pretty good setup. From what I'm seeing so far, it looks like the exhaust bow is a little bit different, which is not a big deal. Cooler's in the same spot, which, you know, that just made me think we could check that cooler and make sure that that cooler's not our issue. It could be. That might be a good idea, because it didn't seem to, it actually didn't even build any pressure on the radiator. We might need to do a little more checking before we just completely give up, but this is the alternative to what we've got. And it's just an older model. I think this one's, I don't know, 85 maybe. The other one's a 95 or 96, so there's a big difference in years. No, it's an 88, so 8 years difference. But this one runs really good. It's got what looks to be about the same pump. They moved on these, the pump is right here on the side, which I like a lot better than the other one. The later's got the pumps on back there, and also this one's got 2 small filters, and the other one, I think it's got 1 filter. And I just like this. I like this setup better. This is what I've been running in the top kick for a long time. So here's the power steering pump. Of course, the other one don't have an external pump like that. Now, believe it or not, you don't need batteries in it. Starter don't matter, alternator don't matter, none of that stuff, because this is full mechanical, same as the other one. So this will need to be pushed down, and which is pulled inside now. But as long as that fuel lever is on the run position, this thing will run. And what we'll do is prime it just a little bit, and then I'll see if I can get my son down here and we'll hook the wrecker to it, because I don't know if it's got any brakes or not. I pumped it earlier, but and we'll pump it again. All right, so our fuel shut off is definitely not pulled. I don't know how far we'll have to go to start it, but we're going to see. Hi, bud. Whenever you're ready. Just go about 3rd gear. About 3rd gear. Don't worry about turning the key on or none of that. It'll fire right up. It should start pretty quick, I hope. I don't know, but we're going to try. I'm hoping it'll start within about 8 or 10 feet. Alright folks, he said it started back here, but I didn't hear it. And I didn't know until I seen him thumbs up on the window. But it's running good. So, mine won't run any better. It's like 60 pounds of oil pressure. So that's why I'm considering so much of putting this engine in that truck. I've got $100 in that engine, and as you can see, it runs so good. And trucks sit for years, but these 466 engines are, you know, they're really good engines. They're not bad at all. So from the sounds of it, I'm liking it. So I think I might just change it anyway. I don't know. We will see, but it's an older style, but I can make it work. And that other one's an air-conditioned cab, but the compressor's missing, but it's a serpentine belt-driven compressor. I could put an old-style compressor on it and run the belt. And anyway, see the power steering belts are a little loose. I don't know if this thing will drive or not. Clutch feels good. Heck, the brakes feel good. 2-speed rear and this one with a 5-speed transmission. Yeah. Oh yeah. Starts, runs, drives, and stops. Yeah, we normally don't have rust here. Until you put a litter bed on. That's what they call them, litter trucks. They don't call them spreaders, they call them litter trucks. And then you put the chicken litter in and you got hydraulic motors. Now the guy that I sold this bed to, they come over and got a gearbox they needed. And as a matter of fact, he left a punch here, but he could have gotten the whole bed because all we got to do is pop the bolts and pick it up with a forklift, but he said he just needed a gear out of it. So hopefully his investment was come out good. And so these are the slingers. And then this gearbox is what ran the conveyor. The conveyor brings the litter back and he's slinging it out. And like I said, all hydraulic driven. Now this thing's got the pump and everything on the transmission. I think it's a 2-stage pump, so it would be a perfect pump to put on for a rollback with a side pulling winch. So, and it is a direct mount right to the, slides right in the pump. So I could use that, and then wouldn't even have to buy one. And when I sold him the bed, I sold it to him without the hydraulic pump or without the PTO, because he said he didn't need it anyway. So these beds are so bad for rusting out that even though it's got some rust on it, it's still worth the time and trouble to fix it and put it back on another truck. So anyway, we're going to decide what we're going to do. Yeah, this thing runs so good. That's why I wanted it, but we'll figure it out. I'll check the oil cooler on that other one, and if it's an issue with it, then we'll just stick this engine in and be done with it. All right. Appreciate everybody watching. Until next time. Bye.